Okay. Hey, Joe. It's been a couple weeks. Sorry to everyone, but we're
I'm not
back.
sorry.
Back for another episode. Never be sorry. You know what? Fuck all of you. We're stronger than all of you.
Yeah,
we're,
all
we're,
six
we're better.
of you.
Yeah, all six of you. We could take you.
Especially
So
you, Jimmy, in the wheelchair.
you all should be apologizing to us.
Because we are gods.
You guys should have convinced us to set up a Patreon and start paying us, but no, you haven't yet. So there's no apologies needed.
No, I'm pretty sure Jeremiah threw a handful of cents at me the other day. So, I mean, does that count as a Patreon?
He better pay us back for how awful that last episode was.
He just kept banging on. I'm done.
Yeah, sorry about the last episode.
We're not
being
having
a
any
thunderstorm.
more guests. He got very riled up and he was very passionate about Dragon Ball.
I can appreciate the passion, but the abusing my desk is a completely different scenario.
Yeah, he definitely went Ike Turner on your desk for a second.
So, Joe, before the podcast, we were discussing what our last couple weeks have been like, and yours have been a little eventful. If you are willing to share much of it, I'm sure you're all right sharing a couple.
So my wife just had umbilical hernia surgery. She's been down for a couple days, so I've been running the house. All I'm saying is I am not the guy you want running the household.
It sounds dangerous.
No, it's totally dangerous. It's chaotic. It's completely chaotic. I can do it. I don't want to do it. Especially with me and my son, because he's at that age now where he's testing his limits.
Yeah, one.
Yeah, okay, he's my kid, so yeah. Yeah, he's gonna test those limits real early in life. He's got this new thing, he screams every time you put a diaper on him. And
I would too,
he doesn't
yeah.
I mean, I'm a grown adult. You wanna change my diaper? Well, that's just never mind, that's weird. I take that back. Yeah, so he definitely kinda just goes all out when you try to change his diaper now. He moves stupid fast for a 1-year-old. Mm-hmm. I take my eyes off him for 2 seconds. The living room's clean. Now it's full of what I can only think is Legos and broken dreams. It's chaos. The wife went back to school. She's studying psychology. I don't know how I feel about that because she's just going to weaponize that against me. She keeps calling me case study. I don't know what that means, but whatever.
That's how these psychologists operate, right?
They
marry the most fucked up. They marry the most fucked up person they can find, and then sire them a child, and then you're locked in.
It's just one giant experiment. Been doing a lot of good things. Got my hands in a little bit of something. Not illegal something. Don't give me that look. I know what you're thinking. It's not illegal.
Right. As long as you're not caught.
No, as long as I'm not caught. We do have a couple of fights coming up. March 23rd in Davenport, Iowa. Got a couple of friends fighting. And it's a fight league that I'm invested in.
Yeah.
That I have really kind of helped grow a lot, even when I was fighting type thing. And I know we don't have any listeners anywhere near Davenport, Iowa, because not up until 2 years ago did I even know that place existed. Sorry, Davenport, you're a beautiful city.
You mean Iowa or Davenport?
Well, both of them. I mean, name me 3 cities in Iowa right now.
They border on our state.
Well, yeah, but it's just, I don't know how to say this in any other way. It's Iowa, Anthony. Who's hey guys, you trying to go to vacation to Iowa?
Yeah. There's definitely 3 cities I should know from Iowa, and I'm blanking. Hy-Vee's based out of Iowa.
I mean, Hy-Vee's a great store. Don't get me wrong. But that's really that. Whoa, I don't know how you feel about that. That's where I got these beers from. They're wonderful beers.
I shop at Hy-Vee. I had also worked at Hy-Vee.
Oh yeah, no, that'll really change things.
That changes your opinion of things. Maybe I should stop now.
Behind the Hy-Vee scenes, Anthony?
Maybe I should stop now before Hy-Vee sues me. Oh, that implies anyone would listen to this podcast.
Sues hell. They're is that a dot on your forehead? Anyway, yeah, no, I like Hy-Vee though, and so we got that that going on. Work is good. Finally we got a new team at work that's not, completely useless, so it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, there's no immediate one member on the team that we're don't know.
How do we get rid
about that one?
He's being very nice about that. I mean, look, all I'm saying is our listeners can attest that there's always that one person at work. You're like, one, how did they get the job? Two,
Right.
how the hell are they keeping the job? And three, how do we just get rid of him?
And for all three, you can just blame management. It's always their fault.
I mean, their management is absolutely ridiculous. No, I can't complain. Jim's a good manager-ish.
Well, I mean, yeah. Jim's
what he
great.
cares.
Well, Jim's great, but he can't, he's not allowed to do anything. So all the things he would like to do that would make it better for us,
right?
He's limited in. So there's that.
I mean, you are kind of leadership with being an FTO, so yeah, management sucks.
Yeah. They keep sending me emails too, and it's like, listen, you don't pay me enough to read these emails. What the fuck?
Half of them are probably about me and not doing reports.
They send emails that are asking questions about how this is done, or hey, make sure this gets taken care of. And it's like, okay, look, I know you gave me a title that's above the grunts of the team.
Hey, you should.
But how much are you expecting me to do?
You're really starting to sound like me, Anthony.
Or Jim, or both. I have no authority to handle anything. I can just casually mention. Nobody's gonna care what I say.
It's true. I mean, I've been told by Kevin and Jim multiple times to do things, and you have to tell me 4 times in order for it to get done, type thing. But yeah, I mean, my week was fun, and it's only going to get funner. How was yours going?
My last couple of weeks have been a little busy, because I was training someone. Unfortunately, he's an old friend of mine, so that makes training easier. I mean, it's a lot easier to train someone who isn't just annoying and because they're a shadow to you all day for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And even if they're someone who's close to you, it's that's still, that's still a lot of time spent with one person, and you're also have the responsibility and the task of showing them how to do their job. And meanwhile, there's me who's barely getting by and doing his job the right way anyway. So, I mean, it's been, it is what it is. I get home feeling tired, not physically drained, just mentally, I don't really want to talk to anyone, kind of shit like that. And yeah, that's why last week I canceled the podcast, just because it was just so much going on.
Hey, look, we all been there.
Yeah. And probably on a more nerdy note, last week was a clusterfuck with Dungeons and Dragons, because one friend wanted to start a campaign, and he's an artist. I actually have his art on my walls back here.
Oh, okay, yeah. That
so he showed us some designs, and there's me who didn't want to get into another campaign, but then I also looked at the designs and I was like, well, now I really want to play this. So we sat down with him, and we did a session 0 where you make your characters and talk about the setting and all that. The next day we played a campaign with the campaign I've been in. And then the next day would have been the podcast, but I canceled it because I was already that was 2 days in a row of going to work, coming home, doing a thing that, wasn't decided by me, just doing group things. And then the day after that, we actually played the campaign. So Jesus. It would have been 4 or 5 days in a row of just consistent, bustling.
You're playing keep up type thing.
Yeah. And it's Dungeons and Dragons. It's fun. It's a game. But it's also social, and you have to commit this this mental busy work attitude with it. So
which is shit, and that's why I won't play it.
It can be, yeah. But no, his campaign was definitely really fun. He and I'm interested to see more of it. But he's come up with some of his own mechanics and stuff where he was really inspired by Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was the most recent Zelda game.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, the one with the animals.
Yeah, and in that one, your weapons are always constantly breaking, so you're trying to cycle between new weapons you find.
Maybe you should get new fucking weapons that don't break.
Well, there's not really any good places to buy weapons. It's a fucking destroyed kingdom.
Oh.
So he's finding...
Use a rock!
You can.
Oh, wow.
I
might be interested in this game now.
Well, you know what, Joe? We'll load it up after the podcast. We'll give you like a first impressions with Joe. But anyway,
it's a whole new shitstorm in itself.
His mechanic was neat because it was like, you can find weapons. Like you can say like, hey, I want to look for weapons, and you'll look around and you'll find these like busted ass weapons that like break after a few hits. But sometimes they have like unique mechanics tied to them. And my roommate Kevin was playing a character who could like he could fuck up these weapons but make them stronger, but like brittler. Like they would break after more or after less hits, but they would deal more damage and like cause bleed and shit.
Okay.
And he was being kind of like a cheeky bastard. Like he couldn't use this one weapon. He didn't meet the requirements. So my character was like, hey, I'd like to use it. So he's like, all right. And then he like jacks it up because that's what he does. But it was surprisingly cool just being able to like stab dudes and then they bleed. Bleed as an effect, not bleed as in like, obviously if you stab someone they bleed, but like it's a status effect in this case where every turn they would lose health because they're quote unquote bleeding.
Oh, okay.
Bleeding
Yeah,
out.
yeah, bleeding out, yeah. Wow, that's some deep level nerd shit.
Yeah. No, I mean it was a lot of fun. He designed like an offshoot of dwarves, which he called Stonebone dwarves. And I guess in his universe, and it's been so long that it's just kind of an accepted thing in society. Some dwarves would be born with the Stonebone disease, where they just don't have like skin.
They just have rock hard-ons the whole time.
Yeah, that too. But no, they're just like skeleton people. They don't have skin. They don't have organs.
That's terrifying.
They just look like skeletons. And he explains like they still need to eat and sleep and they still have to breathe and stuff like that. So they don't have any of those like particular benefits of like not being alive, I guess. They're still
like super shit.
They're still alive, but they look like skeletons. Which I immediately was like drawn to. I was like, I want to be a skeleton. And some of their benefits are like they have really high I almost said fortitude, constitution. So they take hits really well. Which, as you'd expect from a man who's just a fucking skeleton. He, like, set up a mechanic where you, like, just receive less damage from every hit you take. And I'm like, well, I'm fucking down with that. And, what was it? I also picked a class he came up with, which is, like, this, like, stoic knight kind of thing. And he's like, you know, the funny thing is I designed this class to be like a glass cannon. Like, they're really, really strong, deal a lot of damage, but they go down faster. Like, they don't take as many hits.
Yeah.
So you bringing this race into this class where you're just a tank and you have the benefits of the offense.
Oh, no.
And he's like, I didn't really expect that.
That's like a juggernaut class, legitimately. Like...
Yeah, no, in our first combat, I picked like a skill that allows me to like intervene and like block damage from my allies. So enemies are trying to attack my allies and they're taking like almost no damage because I'm blocking it. And then they attack me and I take like 1 damage. and it's becoming more clear. Like my character like will not die. He's just immortal. What was it? What else was it? He's also incredibly heavy. You have to like.
Is this Dungeons or Dragons?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but my friend made up a lot of stuff for it.
Oh,
so like he modded in some classes.
So
and
I thought we were talking about the video game. I was like, damn, that's some high level nerd shit. If you're modding video games.
Oh yeah, that would be. I mean, it's out there.
Yeah. No. Even out there. I've seen the Grand Theft Auto mods.
Yeah. Even Legend Zelda Breath of the Wild has a mod that makes shit like harder and stuff. Though I would
make shit harder. That's ridiculous.
So I don't know really. I don't really know how to mod the Switch. I also probably shouldn't talk about it on a public podcast, but whatever. But yeah, my character has like what's the term? He's got like self-image problems. Like he
has low self-esteem.
He has low self-esteem. And it's really cute the way
he wants to die, but he can't die.
He wants to die. No, we literally opened up. He said that like we were all laying on the ground, and I had my character laying on the ground longer than the others. And he like when he gets up, he's like, "Am I dead yet? No, guess I'm not."
It's just this like really sad day.
Literally, I think the other players were getting to the point where they're like, "Man, I just feel really bad for him."
Your own team's trying to kill the tank.
No, they don't want him dead. They just feel bad. They want his like self-esteem to go up. He has like rich noble parents, And before we set out on a journey, the DM was like, and you know what? You also got like a little Tupperware of cookies from your parents. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. Even the DM's getting to the point where he's like, I feel really bad for this guy.
The DM was like, dude. Oh no. Like, I would totally be down, but like, there has to be some kind of structure to it. And I will absolutely just throw in a fireball of chaos in the middle of the game.
I mean, that's some of the fun of it, you know?
I mean, yeah, no, it totally sounds super fun. I wish I had the time to dedicate to it.
Yeah, that's definitely
or like,
the worst part.
the imagination to dedicate to it.
Yeah, I mean, your first time going into it, you can be kind of timid and like, when do I cut in? When do I, like, you know...
See, this is where we differ, Anthony.
What am I allowed to do or say?
Okay,
I mean, you probably would...
That what I'm allowed to do
Yeah.
is a big line that I will cross several times.
I think if you're going to... If you would take it, like, half seriously enough... Like, I could see you, like, dropping a bunch of shit just to, like, joke around and be goofy. The problem with that is, and it's not a problem, really. The thing with that is, if your DM's willing to play with it, they'll be like, okay, well, now I have to figure out how you do this. You know? Like, we had a player throw, not acid splash, essentially like a big fucking huge ball of acid. And the DM's like, okay, but you realize you're in the middle of town, right?
Oh no!
So the acid like decimates a building. So the player then has the issue of like he feels bad about it, so he goes back to try to help fix it.
He has no carpentry skills.
He kind of fixes it. It's not good, but it did something.
You hit an orphanage, man.
Yeah, no,
there are children outside.
My first question was like, did people die?
Was it the elves? Did the elves die, Anthony?
There could have been some elves in there that died, yeah.
Oh, no, like I said, I would totally be down for Dungeons and Dragons. I don't have the time. Plus, like, I'd have to find the right players and the right DM that understand the type of person that I am.
Right.
Because if you don't understand who I am, I'm going to come off one of two ways. Either, like, this guy's a straight asshole, I don't ever want to hang out with him again, or this guy's fucking weird, but it's kind of cool weird. Like,
right.
There's no middle ground with me. I've never met anybody who's been like, yeah, Joe, he's alright. Like, it's either like, fuck that guy, or like, yeah, hell yeah, I'd go drinking with him on a Saturday night type thing. Like,
which I don't know how I fall into that category. I apparently do.
Okay, you like me.
Yeah, apparently I would go drinking with Joe, but if you knew me, you'd be like, how the fuck are you friends with Joe?
No, I mean, that's the dynamic of this podcast. Like, one of us is an extreme introvert.
Right.
Who likes anime and tentacle porn. And the other one is like an extreme extrovert that will talk to anybody and that will literally live in the moment when his life is just one big ass moment. I mean, I've got some stories, all right?
It's just a chaos storm of no planning.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. Like,
you woke up one day and you were married and you're like, I don't remember.
I don't remember. Vegas is a hell of a town. All right? Oh, sorry, my wife's Mexican. Tijuana's a hell of a town, Anthony. Like, I mean, in all actuality, that's kind of how our marriage happened.
Right.
Like, she had gotten real sick, ended up in the hospital. I don't know what she had. I think it was an ulcer or something like that. I don't know. But, like, we had been together for about 1.5 years, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. So I I got my dad on the phone. I was like, hey, man, I need you to do me a favor. He's like, what? I was like, I'm in the hospital with Roxy. Go grab me a bag of ring pops. He's like, the fuck you need a bag of ring pops for? But you know my father. He's like, all right, fine, I got these. Like, he's like, I want to see where this goes. So
I mean, if he was sober, he was into it, you know. So,
so like he comes through. He's like, what do you need these bags of ring pops for? I was like, I needed one, not a whole ass bag, but whatever. And like, I literally proposed to Roxy with a ring pop because it was spur of the moment.
Right.
Like, and even when we had Ashton, she came out and she was like, babe, I'm pregnant. I was like, fuck yeah. Let's see where this adventure goes. Yeah. Like, I'm like D&D, except real life. Like, minus acid splashes and, gnomes and stuff.
I don't believe that you've never acid splashed someone.
It wasn't acid, but yeah.
So What are we doing this week, Joe? You pitched me an idea. Let's hear it.
I kind of wanted to like. He's very begrudging about this. I want to get that on the table right
I've
now.
never been begrudging about anything.
I was like, man, we should talk about like throwback things like from our childhood, like music or games, food, art, whatever. I mean, obviously art wasn't one of my things, but whatever. Sure. I don't know if that's yours or not.
Yeah.
I just like branch it off and like share stories and crazy shit from our childhood and like what we remember and everything. And, you know, I'm hoping to get the crowd into it. Maybe you can relate. Maybe we love the same things. Maybe you and Anthony really got off on the same things. Probably not, because the kid's fucking weird and probably didn't have a lot of friends growing up. But hey, I'm not here to judge.
Yeah, but if you're into the same things I am and you're a cute girl, hit me up.
No, Anthony. That's not going to happen. I'm sorry, but I'm your friend.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. It's 2021. If you're cute, anything, hit me up. Wink. Right?
Robots?
Yeah, robots. If you're a cute robot, you can relate.
Anthony, why is there a face on your Hoover vacuum? Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, never mind. But yeah, like as you know, I grew up in DeKalb. Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Make all the fucking jokes you want about it. I grew up in DeKalb. I grew up on 10th and Pleasant in DeKalb. I grew up in a very Hispanic neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And still can't escape it because now I married into a Hispanic family. Like, fuck, right? And I remember growing up, I had this giant Irish best friend. He was always bigger than me, my friend Mike. And we used to love, there's this little tiny Mexican guy who would push around this cart. And he would sell elote, if you're familiar with what elote is.
I hate to interrupt. I think you told this on not the last podcast. I think you told this on one of our podcasts already.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. So he scared the hell out of the elote guy. Whatever.
Yeah.
Go back, listen to that. It's funny. But I remember we used to go and like
shit, I derailed you.
Shit, you did derail me. Look, it's been long with the wife having surgery and all that. Sleep has been not there. I had a very eclectic group of friends coming up. Like, you know how like you have that group of friends that are like, guys, we should do this, but like half the group's like, I don't know about that.
Right.
We never had half that group. Right? Oh. Like we were like, yeah, fuck it, let's try it, you know? And like we weren't bad kids, so to speak. We were just unsupervised children. That's what I'm gonna go with. And
makes sense to me.
My mother, God bless her heart, she is a wonderful woman and a very, very angry Polak as well. I remember one time we were bored. And it was probably about 25, 30 degrees outside. So we dumbass kids, we were like, hey, let's ice down the alley and see how far we can run on it without falling down.
Right.
Well, the alley led to my driveway. It's been frozen since about 2 o'clock. It's about 4:45. My mom usually gets home at 4:45. I see that van come pulling around on the alleyway. That alleyway is nothing but a sheet of ice. And like my mom, you know, she's like, oh, there, look, it's Joe and his friends. It's just fishtailing it down the alleyway. And like, I remember she got out of the car. She managed to park the car in the driveway, got out of the car, and she's like, what the fuck did you guys do? Now, if you knew my mom, she doesn't use the F word. She hates the F word.
Right.
So when we did something, I knew I was in trouble. My mom was like, what the fuck did you do? Or she used my full name. Or called me Joseph. Like, I was done. I was done. And iced out. We were trying to ride bikes over it and shit. Like, oh, it was bad, dude. I was pretty sure I was, like, made of rubber. Because I should have hurt myself really fucking bad. But, yeah, we iced down the whole alleyway. Like, and we got real bored. Because, like, we didn't have, like, expensive gaming systems. And we didn't have a lot of, like, high quality cable TV to watch, like, so we always had to make up our own fun, and like we iced down the alleyway. We had a hold of fireworks. We're gonna go with that. Fireworks. I mean, they were fireworks, but they were like the professional grade one. I don't know. I don't ask questions where my friends get these. We just got professional grade fireworks. So there's a bunch of 14, 15-year-old boys with Roman candles. What do you think we're going to do with these Roman candles, Anthony?
Ooh, of course.
Oh, yeah. So it looks like there is a firefight across the street where you're shooting from house to house at Roman candles at each other. Like it's a fucking pirate ship, Anthony. Like, we almost set half the neighborhood on fire. I still have burns on my leg from them. Like, we were, like I said, we weren't bad kids. We were just stupid, unsupervised kids.
I mean, it hits at all points. So at one point when I was younger, I don't even know the story behind where she found them. My mom was like a garage sale lady. She'd always go to garage sales and find what she could find, you know. And she brings me home katana, like Japanese swords. I don't ask where she gets these things. She just found them, right? So of course, I'm too young to understand comprehend like having something just be decoration. My brain was like, well, I have to use them. So we lived out in front of a cornfield. And motherfuckers back then were just going out in the cornfield and chopping down husks. And the blades weren't even sharp, by the way. I mean, like they were sharp enough to like cut down a whole corn husk. But like, I mean, they weren't like sharp, you know?
Yeah,
so it wasn't clean.
They were decoratively sharp.
You were like whacking a fucking husk until it broke.
Yeah, pretty much.
That happened until my dad yelled at me and was like, what do you think's gonna happen if the guy who owns this field finds out and gets pissed? You guys cut down a bunch of his corn husks. We're gonna have
to duel with samurai swords.
Right.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, he could just meet me in the field. So, I mean, there were definitely stupid things that happened when we were kids too. There was definitely a night where we were just really into lighters. That was bad. I melted a lot of toys I had. That was dumb. I don't really know why either. I was just like, fuck it, let's just see what fire does to these things. Oh, that. So
it melts them and makes them explode. I mean, there's only limited things fire can do. I remember I was about 18 because we moved into the house on Dresser, and we lived right next to Hopkins Park. And every year, if you're from DeKalb Sycamore area, you know Hopkins Park has a pretty decent little fireworks show every year during the 4th of July. And for the most part, their security, they set up a day or two in advance. And the security's pretty good around them to make sure no asshat kids steal the fireworks.
Right.
Well, they didn't compensate for the river that ran behind this display. So literally all you had to do was cross the low part of the river. Now you have access to like legit fucking pyrotechnic fireworks.
Right.
So my friend Mike, he texts me, he's like, hey man, meet me up at Hopkins. Oh, by the way, bring the car. Oh, maybe he's got a couple people with him. Maybe we're going to go on a joyride. I don't know what's happening. Uh-huh. So me being, fucking me, I decided to join him. And I was sitting there for like 5-10 minutes, and I get a text message like, hey man, pop the trunk. Okay, what weird shit is he doing? I pop the trunk. Not 30 seconds afterwards, I see this giant Irishman running outside with like a handful of mortars, running to my trunk. And like, I don't know what to do. We just stole a bunch of fireworks. Like, right. So we throw them in the trunk, shut the trunk, we get out of there. We gotta find out what the fuck to do with these fireworks, Anthony.
Right.
So we're like, oh, we'll put them in like a mailbox or something. Yeah. No, that's gonna create the equivalent of a goddamn pipe bomb, and we're not trying to kill anybody. So we decided not to do that. So my friend David lived right next to the railroad tracks. Have you ever been in an abandoned train car, Anthony?
Yes.
You know how like you throw a rock and it sounds like a goddamn car crash inside?
Yes.
Imagine what a mortar does. So David's older brother, he was a smart kid. He was in college at the time. And he knew a little bit of basic engineering, you know, so wired up an electronic ignition. Well, we thought we had a minute on this fuse. We had about 7 seconds. So we hit this fuse, take off running. I'm like, haha, this is so funny. Boom. Now, I kid you not, I felt the shockwave push me to the ground. And, like, you know those war stories where, like, the guy, like, half wakes up and you can't, all you hear is, like,
right,
and, like, the guy's talking. That's dead on. Like, that is dead on shell shock. And, like, my friend David was, like, shaking me, and all I could see his mouth moving, but all I could hear was, in my ear. And I look over, and there's bright police lights heading our way.
Oh, shit.
So his house is right down the block, right? So we take off running. My equilibrium is shot. So, like, I'm falling over people's garbage cans.
Right.
Like, I fell into a car. Like, I hit my face on a car. Like, and my friend Jeremy tried to, like, Dukes of Hazzard it and tried to hood slide. He missed and just ran straight into the side of the car.
Jeez.
And, like, so he had a basement. My friend David had a basement bedroom, and we were like, we go into the house. His parents were like, "What the fuck did you guys do?" Because 3-4 teenage boys just came running into the house.
Into the house.
Yeah, they did something. So we were like, "Oh, well, we'll not alert his parents," So it's a window opening that's probably about 2 feet by 4 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the first one in because I was the fastest of the group. And, like, what you would do, you would throw the window open, slide down, hit his bed, roll off, and you were fine. This asshole didn't tell me he moved his bed. So I slide in like baseball slide, like I am in the 9th inning of the World Series trying to win home plate type thing. Slide in. Beautiful slide, if I might add. Hit the floor. Bed's on the other side of the room. That floor was straight concrete.
Oh, jeez.
Not only did I hit this floor, I got up, I turned around, and Mike's right behind me, sliding in and kicking me right in the chest.
Ugh.
And then gets up and yells at me because the bed wasn't there. Not my room. David slides in, falls over both of us, and then his brother, Jeremy, who's stoned out of his mind, comes flying around and is like, "Why'd you guys use the window?" I was like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, and now it's dark outside. It's probably like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And, like, all you can see is, like, the cop's searchlight come flying past. And I, like, slid up underneath the window on the wall on some James Bond type shit. Was like,
right.
And, like, you can see the police flashlight. And they knocked on the door. The cops knocked on the door like, "Hey, have you seen a group of boys running around here anywhere?" They were like, "No, I haven't. My son's not here right now. He's over at his friend's house across the town." And they were like, "All right, well, you guys let us know if you see anything, any suspicious activity. Yeah, have a nice night." And, like, we could hear it. He's literally, like, 5 feet from fucking where we're standing.
Right.
And, like, Dev's mom comes downstairs. She sits down. All 4 of us are in the room, terrified of what she's going to do. She sits down with her little glass of whiskey. She lights up a cigarette. She goes, "What the fuck did you guys do?" And we're like, "Nothing." She's like, "Don't fucking lie to me."
Dumbasses.
And, like, she was like, "Let me do so I know if something happens, I can kind of cover for you because none of you assholes need to go to jail tonight."
Right.
So we explained to her, and she's like, "Jesus Christ, you guys are fucking dumb." But there's no reason y'all need to get in trouble for that. And, like, didn't say anything, walked away. Didn't say anything, didn't call my mom, nothing.
Right.
And, like, so I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, we got away with that. I mean, it wouldn't have been anything too crazy.
Sure.
It would have been like a fireworks charge and maybe a disturbing the peace and some property
Probably
damage.
Just pay, like, a...
It's a fine type charge,
yeah.
maybe a very low level misdemeanor. But, like, so long story short, I have tinnitus now.
Yeah.
Like, I have to sleep with a fan on because of these idiots.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what did you do for fun in Nowhere other than assault corn stalks?
Yeah, it was the corn that paid for our crimes. Oh, man. Yeah, we didn't really do anything too wild. I mean, There was a time where we did the old ding dong ditch, because you gotta as a kid, right?
I mean, it's a rite of passage,
right.
almost, if you don't ding dong ditch.
And I'm particularly like mellow, so I wasn't into the idea, but once you saw other people doing it, you wanted to do it. My guess is, in hindsight, the other people in the neighborhood must have started contacting each other.
Yeah.
Because we definitely came up on this one house, rang the doorbell, but the guy was there. Like, he was ready. Like, he fucking opened the door almost right away. So we bolted. I don't know what his plan was going to be. I think he chased us for a bit, actually. And we ran down the block until we got to the point where, like, I was too winded. Like, I literally, like, hid behind a bush and just laid there panting for a while. I don't remember when he gave up, but definitely not as exciting as your story. But that's probably, again, it's not like, I don't know, is it criminal? Is it criminal at all? I don't know.
No, that's shenanigans.
No, like
shenanigan level stuff.
A police officer would, like, if they were to get called on you,
yeah, boys.
They'd give you the talk, but then they wouldn't
not gonna do anything to you. Right.
I don't remember how old we were. Probably old enough to know better, but there's this small little park. There's a few parks in Genoa, but there was this really tiny one on a corner. And
okay, I think I actually know what you're talking about.
They had an outhouse there.
Oh no.
Right. So you know how it is. Our friend was in it. So or was he in it when we pushed over? No, he wasn't in it when we pushed over. We're not that bad.
I was been like, is his new nickname Shit Stain McGee?
Yeah, no, I think we started shoving on it while he was in there. I think he like, basically like, oh guys, don't do that to me. So we didn't. But when he got out, he was like, okay, now we can push it over. So we did that. So that was a good one. That was a good old rambunk, rambunctious kids. I mean, beyond that though, I was pretty good, not looking to get into trouble too much. My nostalgia would mostly be for, like, I'd say the Nintendo GameCube was probably what me and a lot of my friends spent a lot of their times on. Things on, like, Cartoon Network.
Oh man, what was your go-to shows on Cartoon Network?
Cartoon Network? I don't know. That depends on what time frame we're talking about. I mean, I would definitely be interested in shows like, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Because that show was awesome.
Yeah. Powerpuff Girls.
The Powerpuff Girls. I loved that show.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have, but I loved that show.
It definitely was, like, one of those.
What was their beef with Mojo Jojo? Why was it always like, he's like, hey man, I'm just going to get groceries or something.
Well, he wanted to take over the city.
Powerpuff Girls were like, yeah, no, it's on site, dude. I don't give a shit if I see him at the gas station. I don't give a shit if I see him at the grocery store.
Right.
I'm going to beat his ass. What kind of gang shit were the Powerpuff Girls up to, man?
I would say a lot of the blame lies on Mojo's shoulders there. Also the city, because, I mean, he was put in jail often enough times. You think they would have just, like, kept him there?
Right, and
like,
you thought DeKalb had a bad fucking bail policy.
Yeah, no, it was like turnaround, day one. Like, they'd spend a night in jail and be like, all right, Mojo, you may have nearly killed half the city, but you're good to go, bud.
We're going to let you go on a reconnaissance bond.
Right. So, I mean, I think that was somewhat fair. But there were definitely times when it wasn't, because, I mean, they were, like, just little girls. They didn't know any better.
Right.
Like, to them, like, he was just the bad guy. But, he was a bad guy who also just had a life out of his job,
He beat the shit out of that guy for, like, no reason, man.
Yeah. Avatar: The Last Airbender was a solid show.
I never really got into it. Like, I heard good things about it, but it just...
It's really surprising in hindsight that I don't want to say it's surprising that it caught on. So the thing about it is, like, it's an excellent show, great writing, story that really, like, engages you, and it's fun to, like, watch through. That in lies the problem, though, is that this is Cartoon Network, and a lot of their shows were, what's the term? Serial? The point being, the shows were made to be like, you could watch an episode in any order, didn't matter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Avatar was different because you were expected to know what happened in the last episode.
Okay.
You were expected to be caught up.
So it's almost like a saga instead of like just a one episode type thing.
And I wasn't the type where I would catch shows as they aired. So even then, I wasn't that caught up with it. Sometimes I would catch shows out of order, episodes out of order, or just like I remember watching like late-ish into the series and thinking an episode looked particularly cool. Anyone who's seen it might remember the episode with like the train, and they like fucking slosh a bunch of mud into it to knock it off the rails and shit. I think that's like the first time they fight.
They should have just used the damn firework. It works a hell of a lot better.
Just blow it off the rails. I think it's the first time they fight Ty Lee and May. Maybe. I don't remember. So I remember they were there for it, I think. But that episode... Oh god, was that the... No, that wasn't Ba Sing Se. Or was it?
Feel free to comment on that. How do you feel about that? Was that show? I don't know.
Yeah, is Anthony completely fucking wrong? I don't remember.
I hope.
But yeah, some years later, after it was all finished, I ended up watching the whole thing, and it's very good. It's I guess I can't say it's like super duper nostalgic. I just remember like catching episodes, and it was one of those things where like episodes I would see probably evoke a bit of a nostalgia in me. Samurai Jack. It's a solid one.
That was such a good show, dude. That's on HBO Max right now.
Is it?
Yeah, and like I've been watching it with my son. Yeah. Because he has to know what Samurai Jack is.
He has to be learned. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have to learn them real good, And I don't know what it is because like he doesn't talk a lot. One. Mm-hmm. Two. I guess it's just the overall style of the show and like the visual intensity. I know that's not. That's probably not the right word for it, but like they make it so intense, and I think also the music during like the fight scenes and shit are just dope. The fact that he's fighting a shadow demon as the main like horrible Aku character, like that was cool, man. Like that was a really good show. How he gets transported into the future and like doesn't know jack shit.
Yeah, like just the future tech and the aliens in one episode, like running through like a future city. Then they still did episodes where like he's in a wasteland or a forest. You know, they were able to balance all of those tropes really well. Genndy Tartakovsky is the director and writer, I think, of the series. I might be getting wrong what his titles were, but it was Genndy Tartakovsky, and dude's like a genius. He also worked on Dexter's Lab,
which was also a great one.
Which was great, but like he really knows how to like evoke emotions and even comedy, and story with like limited dialogue, just using the right music and visuals. He recently did a series called Primal, which I haven't had a chance to watch yet, but that show has no dialogue at all. It follows a caveman, so he's got no language. He doesn't speak. So, imagine writing a whole series.
Oh man, that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, no characters speak. And it's like, I've seen scenes from it and I'm like, that's insane. Like, the fact that somebody had to storyboard that and it all makes sense. You just watch it and there's nothing to get. There's only things to get, Yeah. You don't need to be told anything. It all makes sense. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I saw you didn't watch too much TV going. I mean, you watched a bit.
I did watch the beat. I did watch the beat. Like I said, tired of shit. Forgive me. I did watch a little bit of TV. Like I said, I loved Samurai Jack. Courage the Cowardly Dog was really fun. I love Johnny Bravo because I was just blatantly dumb as shit. Ren and Stimpy, like everyone says, oh, these new age cartoons, they're really risque for the kids. Like, motherfucker, you ever watched Ren and Stimpy? Yeah. Watch it as an adult and tell me that's kid related. Like, for instance, Rocco Modern Life, like he was a sex phone operator, bro. Like, I'm just saying, Google it. Rocco was a sex phone operator.
Yeah, I think there was a one-off gag for it.
Yeah, there's a one-off gag.
His neighbor's wife called it, I think. Yeah,
something like that. Like, I mean, we were the first generation of SpongeBob, too. Like, SpongeBob, I don't know why, and I couldn't tell you why, but it has its place in TV history.
Definitely.
Like, I don't know what they did differently.
There's a reason Nick won't let it go.
Like, SpongeBob it was wonderful. I mean, there's so many quotable episodes, too. Like, I mean, look at insanity of memes that have came out with SpongeBob. You know, it's...
I just watched a video today where somebody animated something completely unrelated, but it was to the scene where SpongeBob and Patrick think they're like cops or detectives or something. They're walking around town with the walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
There's the same scene with the wee woo, wee woo.
You know how many times I've said that over the radio at work?
But the scene they animated was when the real cops pull up next to Patrick and they're like, "Hey, we're looking for this guy. You think you've seen him?" And as soon as they show him the wanted poster, Patrick just starts screaming.
Yeah.
So the cops are just messing with him. They're like smiling as they like lift the photo, and he screams every time.
Yeah, like SpongeBob really did kind of change it. Like I said, I don't know enough on how or why it did. Like the writing was just absolutely. It rode a fine line between absolute absurdity and still being legitimately funny.
Yeah,
as opposed to some of the TV shows I watched today, and I'm like, that literally was nothing. That was just a hodgepodge of like shitty jokes. Like there was no.
Yeah.
You know, there was no storyline. It's just hot garbage.
Or just like random sounds and noises and visuals.
Yeah.
And like low effort humor.
That's exactly it. Like low effort humor. I feel bad, and contradict me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this next generation is all just a lot, not all, obviously, but a lot of just the lowest common denominator type humor. Maybe.
There's shows I've gone back on years later. I'd say by the time this was an awkward time for Cartoon Network anyway, but there was a time when the show Chowder was airing.
Yeah.
And when I'd watched episodes of that, I was like, "Oh no, this is stupid. I hate all of it." But coming back on it now, I've watched YouTubers that will like pull humor from Chowder, like they'll pull jokes or like, you know, scenes from episodes. And I'm like, was this show that funny? Like, there are times where I'm looking back on it, I'm like, there are episodes of the show that are funnier than I thought they were. Yeah. Like, I thought it was just like, haha, funny fat kid with like a fucking fart cloud as a pet.
Right.
But no, there's more humor in some of the episodes. One joke in particular is probably one a lot of people already know exists, but they do a gag where all of a sudden it's the voice actors in the booth, and they're like, "What happened?" And they're like, "Oh, the animation team ran out of budget." They're like, well, now what do we do? And it cuts to all of the voice actors washing cars to make money for the animation budget. And it's such a good cutaway gag when they get back to it and the animation kicks back in.
Yeah.
And they just drop it. They don't talk about it again. It's like it's really good. It's a really good little bit of humor that I'm sure they were just like, this episode's not long enough. Let's just inject something silly like this. Right, let's just throw
something in there. Like how this podcast works.
Yeah. It was definitely... It was better than I had given it credit for when I was younger. Because I think I was probably old enough where maybe it wasn't, aimed at me. But now as an adult, it's still not aimed at me. But I'm like, all right, but there's still good jokes in it.
I can understand the humor now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of people have 3 stages of humor. Like kid humor, teen humor, and then like adult humor. Mm-hmm. And you could even like make a case for like older adult humor. Yeah. And at least that's how mine did. Like, I remember watching shows like, I can't think of, right offhand, I can't think of one, but like, for instance, it's not even humor, it's just, the evolution of your taste and everything. I used to love the Power Rangers as a kid. Hell yeah. Absolutely love the Power Rangers. Yeah. Go back and watch the original Power Rangers adults, and you're like,
it's pretty bad.
Wow, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, nostalgia purposes, you're like, fuck yeah, Red Ranger,
Right.
And then you watch it and you're like, did I just see a string on that jump kick? Like, is his leg suspended? Like,
there's other shows.
Putties are just guys in gray gimp suits if you really look at it.
I can't remember which ones in particular I tried, but there's definitely shows like He-Man and Thundercats are definitely 2 I would say are like high up there, where it's like, as kids we probably all really dug them because they were like the action shows we all craved. Looking back on it, it's like, man, this was just here to sell toys. And it it was unapologetic about it. Like they didn't give a fuck about the writing, to be honest.
No, God, it was horrible. It was horrible.
God, I'm trying to think, and I can't remember if there was a show I actually did go back and try to watch, and it like reminded me, like, oh no, this actually wasn't good at all. But yeah, I think a lot of the animation that's like good nowadays, it's moving off of television and moving on to things like Netflix.
Yeah. I think television's starting to become a dead media.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it'll last the next generation for sure. But yeah, I recently watched season 2. Let's see, season 3 or 4 of Castlevania, which is very adult.
Yeah.
They had a whole episode where like it kept passing between this action scene and then 2 other scenes of characters having sex.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, oh, okay, well, this is where we're going with this season. But it's definitely always been like adult in that, like, oh my God, not Richter. What was his name? The Belmont that's in the show. I'm totally forgetting his name. Trevor Belmont.
Okay.
Like he's got the whip. He's got the iconic whip. I wasn't
going to answer that question for you.
And the whip's, covered in holy water, right?
Okay,
when he whips demons, they like fucking explode into like blood and guts and gore and shit. And I'm typically not into that kind of stuff, but it's just so entertaining. I've just been enjoying a lot of it. Just like watching him fucking kick some demon ass.
That's dope.
Dracula in the show was so cool. Even if like a lot of his shtick was just like fuck humanity. The reason behind it.
That's my shtick.
The reason behind it was like, it was kind of, it was entertaining, like humans killed his human wife and he was like, fuck it. Like my wife was the only human that deserved to live. So fuck the rest of you, and it was like, that's kind of awesome. Like I dig Dracula in that show. And then to completely like tonal whiplash you, I finished the 2nd season of a cartoon called Hilda, which is about this.
And you lost me.
Yeah. It's this little blue-haired girl. Her and her mother used to live out in like the forest.
Okay.
And their house gets like destroyed by like a giant. Accidentally. Sucks. This is after Hilda became friends with the giant.
Oh no!
And he accidentally just stepped on their house. So mom's like, you know what? I was thinking the woods was too dangerous to raise a daughter in anyway, which is funny because Hilda's like maybe just over 10 to 12 range. It's like, why are you figuring this out now?
Right.
So she decides.
Not seen Hansel and Gretel?
She decides to get an apartment in the nearby city called Trollberg, which has this big wall around it to keep trolls out.
Yeah.
Trolls are like these like stone monsters.
That's kind of dope.
But it's getting more interesting as they kind of allude more and more to like, trolls aren't just dumb animals. They're like, they actually can have sympathy for humans and such, which has been pretty entertaining. Just to like learn the lore and the way this world works. There are the occasional like real world animal, but I don't think we've ever even seen like a dog. Hilda has what the fuck is it called? His name is Twig, and he's like a combination between
Twig.
He's like a combination between like a wolf and a deer. So he's like this cute little wolf pup, but he's got like little tiny deer antlers coming out.
Okay.
And they had like a real like emotional episode with them in the new season, which is like, I think it's where a lot of these kid shows are going now, where they want to have comedy in it because Hilda has comedy in it, but they also will have a little bit of action and adventure, but definitely like emotional. Like hitting you in your emotions is like where a lot of them are going.
I mean, that's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, because
I mean that's life.
Yeah, like there are times like you have to deal with stuff that's just sad, and sometimes that's just the way it is. But there's always like a silver lining. There's always like a bright side to things.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of these shows are starting to handle that pretty okay. Sometimes they totally like whiff on it, but I think Hilda's done a pretty good job. I was watching it with my roommate, and I like just the characters. They're all really nice characters. They're all like good kids that are just trying to do good. And Hilda's like a complete troublemaker, even though she doesn't mean to be. It's kind of endearing to watch that.
Okay.
She's not like a bad kid. She just fucks up a lot. And it's like, if you had the wisdom of being an adult, I think you'd understand why most of what you're doing is dangerous. But as a kid, she's just like, well, I'm just doing the right thing. And you're like, I can't argue you on that. She has a friend named David who's like this little shy kid. and he like is not on board with anything that happens. And it's great. They had an episode. You'd like this episode, actually. They go out camping in the woods, and they want to go see something. I think they call it the Screaming Stones, because it's like stones that like scream at a certain time of night, supposedly.
That's weird, but all right.
David gets scared and accidentally gets like separated from the group. He like falls down a fucking cliff. He's fine though.
Jesus.
It's not until later in the episode he's not fine. He's fine after that though. He gets like a head injury, but it's not too bad. And he gets found by like Vikings who live in the woods. They're just like separated from the rest of humanity, Vikings that just happen to live in these woods. And they're like, okay, kid, like we healed you up, you know, we bandaged your wounds and all that. And we have this thing we do at, you know, at night. We have to go do it. We would help you get back to your family, but like right now we're focusing on this because he's been passed out like all day.
Yeah.
And he's like, hold on a sec. And he thinks about it and he's like, these guys are really brave. I want to be brave. So like, I want to go with them. And they're like, okay, you can be our, what do they call him? He's essentially like a war zone courier. Like they shout orders at him so he can go give other people orders in the middle of a battle. So you're watching these Vikings meet up with another group of Vikings, and they're literally like in combat with like lightsaber weapons practically. Except there's like axes and other Viking weapons and shit. And they're like shouting at David to go around and like, you know, give orders to the rest of the team. And it's working, and they end up literally killing all the other Vikings. Like they're beheaded or like get their arms cut off. There's no blood. Shit. There's just like parts and stuff falling off. Like it's not gory or anything, but it's like, no, they died. And they get like the pendant, like the treasure they were looking for. And this pendant, if you touch it, if you're in possession of it, you're just brave. So the next day when his friends find him, he's still with these Vikings. He's like a completely different person. He's like kind of an asshole because he's like this cocky, brave piece of shit. And he keeps doing dangerous shit that even Hilda is like, dude, that's too far. And they bring him back to this Viking group and they're like, dude, you have to like fix him. And they're like, oh, that's not going to happen because he's already touched the pendant. So now he's just brave.
Yeah.
And he decides he wants to fight with the Vikings again tonight because that group they killed is mysteriously alive again and they're coming back for the pendant. So they go back into battle, but they're all cocky because they're brave.
Yeah.
So they get fucking wiped.
Oh, yeah.
Even David gets his head cut off.
Oh, no.
And it's just, you see the other two characters' faces like, like, what was that? Like, is he okay?
It's not okay.
And I'm guessing I'm just going to give a whole synopsis of this episode now because we're in it. They find this creature who's been like coming out at night or during the day and like healing the people who died so they can fight again. And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of pissed.
Holy shit, they found Valhalla, bro.
Essentially, yeah, it's basically just Valhalla.
Awesome.
And they're like, why are you doing this? And he's like, oh, they stole my pendant. I'm kind of mad about it. And they're like, so you let them like kill each other every night as revenge? And he's like, yeah, why wouldn't I? And then that's the whole bit. It's so he like brings David back to life, who's no longer brave. The effects wear off when you die. It's genuinely good. I think that one episode you'd almost enjoy just because
that
sounds
the Vikings.
Actually
funny as hell.
It's great, yeah, and it's like you've gotten to know David well enough by this point where you sympathize with the fact that he's like always scared and wants to find a way around that, but his way of finding a way around that was too extreme. And it got him killed. And it's just a lot of it's really well written. It's like fun to listen to the lore and the world building and shit.
That is fun as hell.
Yeah.
If there's one like thing that stands out, like talking about like the emotional side and everything, the one that stands out from my childhood was X-Men the Animated Series.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I watched that as an adult, and I'm like, this has super deep undertones to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, X-Men's always been about like it's all an allegory for like racism.
Yeah. Like, it was so crazy, and I'm like, my kid's definitely gonna watch that growing up. Yeah. Like, and of course, like the '90s Spider-Man. Like,
oh hell yeah, Spider-Man was my jam.
Dope, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and now, in my opinion, now as you know, I'm a huge Marvel guy. I'm a huge superhero guy. Like, that's my nerd realm, so to speak. And in my opinion, in all of Marvel, I really think that Spider-Man has one of the best, if not the best, rogues gallery.
Yeah.
Like seeing those guys come to life, was really kind of cool. And then they made the movies, which I don't want to talk about.
Right, where it like focuses on the same three over and over again.
They do, and it's like same thing with Batman. Like, okay, you have the Joker. That's cool. We've done that.
Yeah.
To death.
Yeah, how many times are we gonna rewrite the Joker?
Like, you've got like, oh god, what is his name? The serial killer, Dr. Zaz or Mr. Zaz or whatever.
Uh-huh.
That'd be dope. I actually saw the promo. I don't like Edward Pattinson, okay? Because I only knew him from Twilight. That stupid vampire movie that, by the way, pissed about that because females were like, hey, let's take these scary things and make them not scary.
Make them romantic.
Our own. Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. Stop it. You're ruining my shit.
I don't remember what else he was in. He's actually a good actor.
He's actually a solid actor. I've watched a couple other movies.
He's just already like typecast, essentially. He's like typecast, but you already you think of Twilight when you see him.
Yeah, you already do. Like, and I saw the trailer for the new Batman movie, and it's got like a 7 vibe to it. If you remember the movie 7.
Oh yeah.
And like it looks dope, and I think I want to see a Batman serial killer movie. There, I said it. That would be dope as hell.
Yeah, against
Batman
all odds.
legitimately has to like hunt this serial killer.
Make him a detective like he's supposed to be.
Yeah, like he's supposed to be.
And not just like going out and like beating up grunts, which is, cool. I'm not mad about it. But
basically, if you really look at it, Anthony, we're Batman at work. Because we're guys in a suit,
I don't know
guys
about that.
in a uniform, and we beat up the mentally challenged.
but you assume... First of all, I don't know if I agree with that part. You like Batman again is a detective. He learns about things, uses his intelligence and his gadgets to solve problems. We have I guess the gadgets, not really even that.
We don't even have gadgets. We have a radio.
We sure as hell don't have intelligence. We're not solving anything. We get called by nurses who are like, "Get the fuck over here and throw this guy in his ass," and that's all we do.
Like, I
hate to crush your dreams, Joe.
Oh, you did. And now
but that's
can't
a lie.
show up in the cowl anymore. More than one reason.
Kind of want to crush your dreams.
No, life will do that for me. You're fine.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
I'm just saying, if I could pull it off, I'd wear the Batman utility belt at work. I'm just saying, a guy walks in with a Batman utility belt, you're going to be like, damn, maybe... I don't know that he's not Batman. I don't know if I want to fuck around and find out to see if he's not Batman or not.
No, you're definitely not right on that one at all. Why would Batman walk around not in costume?
Where are the drugs going?
But with a belt. That just defeats the purpose of the costume. Why would you have an alter ego?
Have you seen Superman's costume? They are glasses, Anthony.
That's true, yeah. I can't vouch for the supposedly intelligent people in Superman's world, which is the same world as Batman's. But I'm talking about was it Metro City?
Metropolis.
Metropolis. Yeah, why are people in Metropolis so dumb? Is it because their life's easier?
I don't know.
Gotham, I get it. Maybe you have to be smarter because everyone's miserable.
Everyone's miserable.
Whereas Metropolis, it's at least you'll go to college.
Look at Batman the anime series, dude. It's just Grayson blackwashing everything.
Yeah.
With pops of color, but...
There was an episode of Justice League, and it wasn't even Batman, but it heavily involved Batman. And there was a villain, and I can't remember if she looked like a child or was a child. And... obviously they're trying to stop her from doing bad things, she's a villain, right?
Yeah.
And then they find out, not only just her, but the heroes find out, she's got, days to live. Oh, she's, dying. And I think she was a child. I don't remember what it was. She was, sick or something. Sport? Yeah, it's fucked up. And, none of the other heroes are sure of how to handle this, except Batman. Batman, she's she's like sitting on a swing set, like depressed, and Batman goes and sits with her, and apparently they just talk. They like talk it out. And I guess, oh God, I'm probably fucking this all up. It's definitely a scene I've seen before, and it's like really emotional because it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. I think he walks out like with her body. Like Jesus. She passed while he was talking to her. And it's like, okay, Batman.
Okay.
I can see you are emotionally stronger than the other heroes, which is fair.
Superman was like, fuck this, I'm out. Fuck that kid.
You know, because like Batman's the one character in the group who
is not known for that.
He accepts his fear. Like that's his shtick.
His shtick, yeah.
Yeah, like Superman, what's there to fear for Superman besides seeing others die, right?
Yeah.
And for him, it's just best to shove that fear aside, like be defensive of it, but don't like let it rule you.
Yeah.
Whereas Batman's just human. So for him, it makes more sense to be like, yeah, of course I'm afraid. I know my fear and I understand my fear. That's like his thing. So like him being more emotionally stable than the other heroes makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, he doesn't have all the superpowers that like that Superman and Wonder Woman have.
Right.
Like, so he kind of has to realize his own mortality type thing. I mean, the guy's sitting around with fucking gods.
Yeah.
And he's sitting at the table with these guys. He has to realize. I mean, I'm gonna shit on some people here, but like Superman punches that fucker once, he's dead. Done. Like, you know.
Well, the man can like break steel. What's Superman made out of?
Exactly.
Flesh?
Like, that's what I'm saying. And you know,
there's the classic like if you give Batman enough time, he can beat anyone. And it's like, well, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. Like,
I know he knows, you know, like Superman's kryptonite, literally kryptonite.
Yeah.
But I think Superman gave him kryptonite as like dude, if anything ever happens, I need you to kill me. Like if anything ever happens to me and I need to be taken care of, I'm trusting you with this.
Man.
Which makes sense, but at the same time is also like
dementia, like, oh God.
This would be the one time I could see Batman just being honest and be like, you honestly fucking think that could happen? Because I don't know about that, dude.
Like, because if you look at the Avengers too, like there's Thor, like
right,
who's the legitimate god of thunder, the Hulk, which is a god in himself, and then there's like Hawkeye, some dude with some goddamn arrows. Like, what did you do to be on this team? Fuck you, Hawkeye. Like, I don't know. There's just so many other people that you could have gone with. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that's cool that he can like accurately shoot arrows everywhere, but. You know, what's arrows when you have a Hulk? Like,
right.
A man just threw a tank. Like,
there definitely needs to be more characters that are. I mean, I guess there doesn't need to be, but if Marvel could include more characters that are like Batman, you know, where they're human, but you've given them aspects that everyone just latches onto.
Yes.
The problem is, I'm casually asking you to write another Batman, which is not going to happen.
No,
you can't just casually write one of the most highest selling comic book characters in the world.
You literally just can't.
So, you know, it was like thunder doesn't strike twice kind of thing. DC cornered that market. They have the Batman, and I don't know who the fuck is ever going to topple Batman.
I mean, Marvel kind of has a Batman with the Punisher. He's just like Batman on Batman that broke. I mean, literally Batman that broke. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't have that, oh, I don't kill mortal. Like, no, you killed my family. I'm wiping all of you from the face of the earth. Like, I remember as a kid, I grew up idolizing Batman. Now as an adult, I understand the Punisher. Like, that's exactly where that is. Like, I want to see more anti-heroes. And I guess one of the biggest beefs with, and especially from, you know, my childhood, they're taking the Iron Mans, they're taking the Punishers, they're taking Spider-Mans, and like they're taking that mantle and giving it to someone else, and they're like, for instance, like the first Spider-Man video game sold hella hard, and it was a really good video game. And Spider-Man Miles Morales was also a really good video game, but it didn't sell that hard. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, America's not ready for a brown Spider-Man. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's the case at all. I think they are, but you're taking a classic character who we associate with Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And it's not Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So, like, you kind of lose some of that lust. Like, why can't Miles Morales be his own thing? Why can't you give these people, like the whole Miss Marvel thing, Captain Marvel, what is her, and now Miss Marvel is like this Arabic teenager or something. Like, yes, that's cool, but why can't this Arabic teenager be something on her own? Why does she have to be Miss Marvel? Or what they did with Iron Man. Iron Man died, so now Iron Man's a black teenager. Yeah, that'd be cool, but why does she have to be Iron Man? Like,
I mean, it just wouldn't sell, Like, it's what you had just said before. It's the passing the mantle kind of thing, and a lot of people, they just want to keep watching Iron Man or Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
They want to see these characters, so they do have to put someone else under the mask if they want to write someone else.
Yeah.
If you made a thematically similar to Miles Morales superhero where he's like fucking angsty arachnid, and it's like, well, nobody would watch that.
Yeah.
Or I guess I can't say nobody, but it wouldn't catch on as well. I come at it with like kind of a different viewpoint where it's like I want to agree with you because I get what your point is. You're trying to say like these characters should stand on their own. They shouldn't need the starting point of being Spider-Man or whoever to be respected. We should respect them because they're great heroes.
Yeah.
Despite
exactly, yeah.
It really shouldn't have to be said despite the the color of their skin or who they are, their gender, whatever. Like they're still heroes that are respectable. But I'm also I would also just say like Miles should just be called Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Because from my viewpoint, it shouldn't be like, yeah, but he's not Peter Parker. To me, it's like that's irrelevant. He's Spider-Man.
He's Spider-Man. Okay, I can see what you're saying.
What I'm saying is like, it's not that yes, he should stand on his own as his own character. We, the audience, get to see that because we, the audience, get intimate with who Miles is, with who Peter was. But when we're talking about the character Spider-Man, he's Spider-Man. He is fulfilling the same role, and he's not the same character, but has the same morals, and he's doing the same good.
Yeah.
But what I was about to say is like I'm also the guy who really loved Into the Spider-Verse, which
a good movie.
Starred Miles.
Yeah.
Do not care for the current live action Spider-Man. I don't like him that much.
Really? I like Tom Holland. I have to disagree. Politely disagree with that one.
No, yeah, please. By all means,
Tom Holland.
Politely disagree with me, but I find him to just be like an insufferable kid. Like they just
like too kid, like too much.
Yeah,
of a kid?
they write him
to
too much of a kid.
Yeah. Okay.
My favorite Peter Parker is when he's like college age and he's like trying to figure out what his relationship with Mary Jane is, what his relationship with being a superhero is.
Yeah.
And like where he can draw the line, what he can get away with on both fronts. Because it's like a desperate juggle of his responsibilities.
Yeah, especially if you look at the 90s cartoon, like he was working in the lab at the time. Yeah. He was, okay, I can see where you're going.
He's like a respectable scientist.
Yes.
Like the dude's fucking smart. This kid Tom Holland plays he just seems like a kid. Like he just seems like a little kid to me, which is fine. And they definitely wrote it that way so he could look up to
Iron Man.
Brain. Yeah, I was gonna say his name. Tony Stark. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Anthony. But yeah, they wrote him that way so he can look up to Tony Stark and be his like protege.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want that. I don't think that's good. I think they could be like, I want them to be good friends, and I guess I could see Peter Parker looking up to Tony Stark.
Yeah.
But as like a respectable, almost colleague. Like you're into the mechanics side of science. I'm into like the biology side of science.
Yeah, I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah, but I think right now it just kind of feels like he's just some kid that Tony like basically laid his fucking, I almost said mantle on, laid his fucking like Iron Man shoulders on.
Right.
And it's like, let's see if this kid, can hold up to that weight.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think I wanted Peter written that way. I could see Miles being written that way.
Yeah. I think Miles is a great character.
Right, because like the point of Miles is that he's, at least in Into the Spider-Verse, he's seen Peter Parker die, and he's been told, like, this is your responsibility now, kid. And now it's Miles having to deal with this new responsibility and being the guy that everyone looks to. Miles is too young to be the guy everyone looks to. I think that's the differentiation we want, right?
Yeah.
I want a Peter Parker that's an adult and mature, but is also like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, dude, and I just make it look good. And then Miles Morales is like the kid, but you love him. Like he's doing everything that he believes to be right, and he does it well. But he's like, also like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
I like that a lot. Like, I can definitely see where you're coming from. The one setup I like, the whole passing of the torch setup that I did like, was, did you ever see Logan?
Yes.
When he passed down, he dies at the end.
Yeah.
And kind of like, they shift X-23 more into his role.
Yeah.
Now. Like, if they were to do something like that, I would be on fucking board with it. But I do agree with the Iron Man thing. Like, I think Spider-Man should be more colleagues with him. And like, you know, I'm suffering the loss of a friend, but I'm still me. You know, I'm not him, you know?
I think, to me, if I were to break it down, it feels like a smart marketing decision more than like good character writing. Because I think they saw the writing on the wall and they were like, we can't do Iron Man forever. Because Iron Man was like the guy who brought in the MCU.
Yeah, he did.
Like that's why he was such a big name in all of it. That's what, like, did anybody really know Iron Man before the first Iron Man movie?
No, absolutely
not. Like the mainstream.
No.
And now he's like a household name. Everybody loves Iron Man. So I think what they did was just like, well, we'll pick another hero who he kind of like makes his protege to pass it down to, and who better than someone we can write as a kid, Spider-Man.
Yeah,
you know, because he's always been like the youngest hero. He's always been like cooler with the young crowd. You know.
Yeah. No, I think Iron Man worked because if you really look at it, when it came out with like the Dark Knight and the middle of the Batman trilogy where everyone's like, I can't tell you my alter ego because like people are going to try to kill you. And then like Tony Stark gets up there like, mic check, fuck you, I'm Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like that kind of flipped the game on its head.
Yeah, that was a good comeback to the Batman trilogy, wasn't it?
You know, it really was. And like, I think I'd be more of an Iron Man as opposed to like a Batman type figure, you know, like, and I don't know. I've always loved the superheroes. I love the Marvel universe. Yes, there's a lot of things they can do to make it better.
Sure.
Just the villain problem. They've had like 3 good villains, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the only ones I can think of are Thanos, Loki, and Warmonger, or Killmonger.
Yeah.
Outside of that, like, I can't name you any freaking villains. Like, so they need to fix that.
Yeah, and they like in Into the Spider-Verse, even since we were talking about that, they like started, like, it felt like they brought up Kingpin, and then it was like, okay, now get ready because he's the last guy we're gonna fight in the movie, and then that was about it. It was kind of like one of my only complaints with it, but that's because the movie was so like chock full of everything else going on.
Yes,
introducing the new Doc Ock, who was that one lady, which I was kind of cool with. You know, I thought she was cool. I like that, original Doc Ock because I don't know, he just seems like a fucking wacky old man scientist. He's cool, but this new lady Doc Ock is cool too in a different way. She's like, I don't know how I describe, like a holistic medicines kind of doctor, where it's like you almost don't even trust her. Like, your science isn't real, lady.
Your science isn't real. Like, I did you play the Spider-Man the first one for PS4?
That's the one you were talking about. I thought you were talking about like PS1.
No, the PS4, the latest one for PS4.
So I haven't yet. No.
It gives Doc Ock a whole new backstory.
Oh yeah.
I'm for it, dude. I am absolutely for it. Like, I mean, you can look up a synopsis of his storyline, but it's dope, dude. It is super dope. It kind of puts Doc Ock, like, the character development of him is so much deeper in this video game than it was like in real life. Than it was like, I don't want to say real life because obviously none of this is real. But fuck you, it's real to me, Anthony.
None of this is real,
it's
Joe.
Real to me.
Wake up, Joe.
Wake up, Joe.
Wake up, Joe.
Oh, but yeah, it gives him a really good thing. Like, it's so weird to see it mainstream now, you know, to see a handful of people that used to watch like the X-Men show as kids, and like, you know, now you're getting to see these guys on the big screen, and like, I get to kind of pass this on to my kid type thing, you know, and I'm super excited about that, and, you know, super excited to see where they're going to take it too. The most thing I'm excited for is the whole, I want to see an R-rated sect of the universe. I want to see Moon Knight. I want to see Blade. I want to see Ghost Rider in their most pure form. Don't Deadpool 2 PG-13 that shit with me.
Yeah, I mean, getting a Ghost Rider that isn't bad would be kind of fun.
That isn't Nicolas Cage.
That isn't Nicolas Cage.
God, that was such garbage, dude.
Because, like, the visual editing in that movie was, like, good. And at least I remember it being good.
No, it was solid.
I thought the action, it was really good. It's just, like, Nick Cage in this role?
Out of all the people that you could have picked, and, like, he was so over the top and dramatic about everything. And I was like, you're not selling this for me. Like, if anything, you're turning me away from it. But because Ghost Rider's always been one of my favorites. Like, I love Blade. You know, I loved that kind of darker universe. You know, even as a kid, I remember, you know, speaking of nostalgia, that was one of the first movies I went to see back in like '98 with my dad. Was Blade, the original Blade movie with Wesley Snipes. And come to think about it, what was like a 10-year-old doing it at R-rated movie, but whatever, love you, Dad. But like I saw that and I thought it was just really cool because I was like, holy shit, that's a superhero, but he's murdering everybody. Like, there was a real world dynamic to that like I said, I love the Marvel movies, but stop PG-13 everything. Like, look at this success that Deadpool had. First Deadpool movie was fucking dope because you let him be Deadpool. Yeah. Like, you know, and even with the Marvel Netflix series, because I watched both seasons of The Punisher, loved them, absolutely loved them. They're dark as shit. Like, he smashed a guy's head with a fucking porcelain sink at one point. Yeah. Like, don't family friendly everything. And that's what, like, I don't want Disney to do. You know, don't family friendly everything. Right. Don't Mickey Mouse your way out of this, fuckheads. Like, and
I mean, they could potentially write dark, but still have it be within the realms of like something a younger crowd could watch, but not for characters like Punisher, where they're actively like, you know, killing people.
Yeah, that's his whole shtick, is like, I am gonna absolutely murder you type thing.
But I would like to see the same what's the word I'm looking for? I want the same commitment to writing dark. Yes. You know, if you write dark for like kids, you're probably doing something right if it works, because how the fuck are you getting away with that? It's easier to write dark for adults because you don't have a filter to worry about as much of a filter.
Adult MCU.
Right, but like give us movies that commit to dark. Yeah. You know, don't give us movies that are like, oh, this guy's cool, he's edgy, and like I don't want a character.
The edgy guy is Hawkeye. Like, no, he's fucking not. Like,
I don't want a character that is going to only exist to sell to people who buy things at Hot Topic. You know?
Yes, absolutely.
Give us an edgy character that people want to come see, and you've written well, where it's like, yeah, even someone like me will sit down and watch this asshole on screen. You know? As opposed to like, well, we don't have to think about it. Because I think that's what a lot of like comic book movies used to be, and like especially like video games. You know, if we're talking about comic books, I can relate as far as video games are concerned, because nobody gave a fuck about video games.
Right, they didn't.
A couple decades ago.
Yeah, no, hell no.
You know, and now it definitely is a lot more considered.
Multi-billion-dollar market.
Right. Like, so you have these two markets, comic books and video games, and it's like, just show them like a little bit more respect. I know some of them don't deserve it. I know some of them aren't asking for your respect. That's fine. But there are others that deserve it. Yeah. And it's like, could you just give them that much?
Well, like all these kids that are like, man, I just got the latest Call of Duty. Like, hey, man, fuck you. You ever play GoldenEye? Like,
right.
You know, and so many people are like, oh, the new Gran Turismo racing game. And I'm like, Mario Kart was my jam.
Right. It's like, kids, there are more wars that happened in our history than World War II. I know it seems like the only one, but there's more.
Or like the future rule.
Oh, right.
God, that was ridiculous.
Modern warfare and future warfare, right?
Like future warfare, the robots jumping off the things.
Yeah. Like I still like Mario Kart. Like fans modded a game to be like a Sonic kart.
That's dope.
But also like you can just add whatever characters you want, and it's fucking great.
I'd play a Mario versus Sonic kart. That'd be dope, dude.
Mario versus Sonic are things like they should work out more, but I think we pretty much have only had Super Smash Brothers. You can have them fight each other, and the Olympic Games, which is hilarious. Those games are kind of good.
They were kind of good. All right, I'll give you that. But they were definitely campy.
Yeah, definitely. Which I don't know how you can get away with not being campy in a Mario and Sonic game unless like the two companies really decided to go all out this one time. But you'd need Nintendo to agree with that. Sega probably wouldn't a heartbeat because right now nobody gives a shit about Sonic. But I don't know where we're going with this. I played a lot of Sonic 3 as a kid.
I used to love the Sonic games. Like,
yeah.
I actually just, me and Tommy, the second shift EMT guy,
yeah,
we were watching Sonic speed runs. And
there
that shit, boom, bro. Like, blew my mind seeing how crazy fast these guys can do it. And they're like centimeters away from dying every move they make. And I'm like...
So wait, do you want to watch fast or do you want to watch break the game? Which would you rather watch?
Wait, what is break the game?
All right, so you should look up speedruns of Sonic Advance. So like the Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
The first Sonic game on that was called Sonic Advance. Speedruns for that game are broken as hell. There are places where you manipulate the camera in such a way, and then you start a spin dash. Sonic goes through the fucking wall, and he's just like, nope, I'm not doing this today. So he just goes through a wall, and then bam, he's at the end of the level. It's great. The fucking way those games are broken is hilarious.
That blows my mind, man. Because I was thinking to myself the other day, like, because I mean, obviously, I've said this many times on the podcast. I am by far novice gamer at best. Like, normal is my hard type thing, you know? And I mean, I like it, don't get me wrong. Like, and sorry, I had a phone call.
No, that's fine.
But I liked it a lot. I still like it. But I'm still one of those guys that plays them for fun. So like seeing that advanced skill on a video game blows my mind, like even more so than it would like you, because you're part of that culture. You understand the speed runs. You understand like, and I mean, for instance, the first Mortal Kombat game, like how you can unlock Reptile. Who the fuck figured that out, man? Like you had to do so many things to unlock Reptile, which was just a palette swap Scorpion, but which I mean, you look back at that, you were like. They were like, oh my god, Scorpion, Sub-Zero. You look back and you're like, they're the same fucking person. You just color swap.
Yeah, changed their colors, made them do different moves.
And how far that's came. I mean, Mortal Kombat 1 versus Mortal Kombat whatever the fuck they're on now.
Like 10 or 11?
Yeah, 10 or 11. And the graphics in it are just like...
Right.
Holy shit, you know? And the things they can do. It's just crazy, man. Like... I could talk all day about this, but I have a feeling we're hitting that time.
We're coming up on our time here. Not that I want to like end conversation, which is always fun. For the record, I quit Mortal Kombat when a friend threw a bladed hat into my head and then stomped on my junk to get the hat out of my head. That was apparently a thing in one of the games. Like it's like you ever have those trash cans where you like that has the pedal on it and it opens up the top.
Okay, yeah.
It was like that. Like it was the guy with the bladed hat, the Liu Kang or something. Not Liu Kang. I'm really bad at Mortal Kombat. Leave me alone.
Not Liu Kang. It was Liu. Oh fuck.
It was Liu something.
Yeah, it was like his.
And he threw his fucking straw hat at my character. This was a finish him kind of thing, a fatality. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it like fucking catches in my character's head.
Like that,
yeah. Catches in his head. He falls over dead. And then to get his hat back, he like walks up, fucking stomps his junk, and the hat flies out and he catches it. It's like, that didn't make any sense, but whatever.
None of it makes sense, man.
Because at that point, I was like, well, I guess I'm not for this game.
None of that absolutely makes sense. Like, but I remember playing like Street Fighter and a bit of Tekken too. Like, I wasn't real well versed in Tekken as I was like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter.
Tekken, I always had my attention as a kid. Probably because there was a giant bear you could play as. That was fun.
I mean, that's dope, dude. Like, you play as a giant bear. That's super cool.
As a kid, I loved the bear. As an adult, I love Heihachi. Because when you're an old man who's just like, fuck having kids, and then throws him off a cliff, and then the kid comes back and throws him off a cliff, and then he comes back and he throws the kid in a volcano. I just love it. The whole story is stupid, and it's great.
I mean, like... I can never get the whole. I used to get so frustrated doing the fatalities from Mortal Kombat, and you're like backpack down A plus square root of 3 times. Now do a circle. Put your right foot in. Now put your left foot. Fuck! I messed it up. Like
yeah, you do one jab and then it doesn't give you the fatality.
Oh, that shit pissed me off so much. Like I just and now it's gotten extreme. Like there's Freddy Krueger in it now. Yeah. Like there's Alien and Predator, and I'm
know what the funny thing about fatalities Rambo? Are? Yeah, Rambo. That's a cool one. Why Rambo? I don't know. Fucking know. Put Rambo in there.
No, they don't know. They just like, yeah, fuck it, why not?
Fatalities were designed with the idea in mind of like the creators of it were like, well, I wasn't as good as my friends at fighting games, and I always wanted to finish them with like the cool moves. Like I wanted to end the fight with the cool moves like they did, but I could never do it right.
Yeah.
Or I could never catch them with it. So the reason the fatalities are there is to give players a chance to be like, well, look at this cool shit I can do. And it's like a free moment where it's like, well, you know, your opponent can't do anything to you. They've lost already. So it's like, well, that's funny, especially because of how hard it is to do fucking fatalities. You have to like write a fucking recipe.
No, that's exactly it. Like I mean, I loved them. They were super gory. I grew up on horror movies type thing, so like gore is. I remember I think I was like 8 when I saw like The Evil Dead for the first time, and I was like, that guy's got a chainsaw for a hand. Like 8-year-old Joe loved that shit.
I probably would have been into horror. I guess it's
32-year-old really Joe loves that shit.
I probably would have been more into that kind of aspect of things like gore and stuff.
Yeah.
If I had grown up with Evil Dead of all things. I grew up with Chucky. I hated Chucky. But as a kid, I had a babysitter, and one of the other kids they babysat loved Chucky. So guess what I got to watch?
Chucky.
I fucking hate Chucky.
Man, I think I was never really afraid of horror movies because I got assimilated at a young age.
Right.
You know, because my dad was a big horror movie buff. Like he loved it, you know, and like so nothing really. I've never watched a movie that I was like, holy shit, that wrecked me. You know, I've never watched one. I've watched a few that were like, that was fucking great.
That was
like,
a high.
Yeah. Like that was awesome. You know, like the first Saw movie, at the very end when those 2 guys died or whatever, that 1/3 guy, the body, just got the fuck up and left. Like that messed me up, man. I was like, he's been what? Like, I mean, there's those kind of movies I really like. But I'm one of those guys that like give me something more than jump scares. Like I feel like I was saying with cartoons earlier, these new age horror movies are like jump scare, creepy music. Oh, look, another jump scare.
Yeah.
Like, no, play to my fears, you know, like somehow work like, I don't know, like claustrophobia or something into something, you know.
Yeah, play to the concept.
Genuine fears, play to those instead of jump scare. Like,
a few years back, my friends and I went out to see a movie called Annihilation.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it though.
I didn't know was a horror movie. I just saw some ads for it. I'm like, oh man, the concept is really cool. Like there were like these fucking like crystalline like rainbow stags, and I was like, dude, they fucking look cool. I want to see this movie. I want to see like the cool alien creature concepts that are in it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I didn't know it was horror until I went into it. But that didn't bother me too much. It's not that I didn't want to see it. It was just like once I sat down for it, I'm like, this is a different tone than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And they introduce a like bear, but this bear, one is like actually fairly intelligent, like it like makes plans and shit. And 2, it ends up dragging one of the main girls away, like it kills her.
Okay.
And then later on in the movie, they hear her voice, and one of the girls who was like, I can't remember if she was gay for her. I think she was. I think they were in a relationship, and she like cries and she like runs to her, and it's the fucking bear. Apparently, it can like rip out your vocal cords and mimic your noises.
That's crazy.
And like the first time I saw that, it's pretty good. It's not like great, but it's pretty good. It's got some fun concepts in it.
Yeah.
I think after that point in the movie, that's like the climax. That's the high.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Things get really fucking weird and kind of stupid after that.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
There's some good moments after, but not as good as that moment. Mm-hmm. And just like that part, like I got chills, and like I jumped a bit when like it attacked them.
Mm-hmm.
and like just there's some good tense moments. I thought that whole bit with the bear was like the best antagonist in the movie, like because it was only around for like a little more than the first half, but it made that first half. It was good.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorite, it's not a horror movie, it's more like a horror comedy, but have you ever seen Cabin in the Woods?
No.
Watch it. It's so funny. Like, it's about these guys. I don't even know how to sum it up, but it's about these guys that get recruited to go to this cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
So they end up getting locked in by this corporation, and this corporation just lets out a bunch of experiments on them.
Oh, okay.
And, like, I'm talking crazy-ass experiments, like giant spiders and, like, killer fucking unicorns and shit.
Okay.
Dude, it is so funny. It's horror movie, because there's some aspects that you're like, oh, shit, okay, that messed me up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes you're like, that is absolutely ridiculous in the best way possible.
Nice.
Like kind of like along the lines of Evil Dead. You know, that whole campiness, but like still horror enough to where you're like, all right, I can do with the campy for now.
Yeah,
you know? I
maybe I do need to watch that. So this, you asked about it a couple weeks ago. My wallpaper here on my computer.
Yeah.
The Lobotomy Corporation.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but
it's a game I've started playing lately, and I fucking love it. I'm like way into it, and it's got similar concepts, I guess. You work in a corporation. You have all these things called abnormalities. And you can get through interacting with them, you can get energy, and you have like a quota you have to fill every day of energy, I assume, for the city, right? But these abnormalities they're like the experiments you were just talking about. They're all completely different, wacky, different things.
Yeah.
One can be as simple as like the one could be as simple as like there was an old notebook of an old scientist's like notes, right? And when one of your units uses the notebook, they interact with the abnormalities a little bit better for a while.
Okay.
But there are some caveats to it. If you try to put the notebook away without interacting with anything, you explode. Like you die into a gory chunky bits. If you put the notebook away before 30 seconds are up, you explode. And if you take too much damage while holding it, you explode. So there are aspects of it that you need to balance in order to use it right. But it's really fucking good if you use it right. Also, when you explode, you hurt people around you. Because
you explode.
They eat your fucking like shrapnel, like your fucking bone shrapnel. So it can be as like simple as a notebook. There's one I have called Old Lady. It's a little old grandma in a rocking chair. And she knows like every story ever. But her stories are laden with curses. So not like swears.
Yeah,
but as you're listening to her as you're listening to her stories, your sanity's going away. So you have to be careful of the units you send in there that they're like mentally sound enough.
So this is almost like a line of like this is almost like an SCP type
Yes,
thing.
It's exactly yeah. It's like I'm pretty sure they saw SCP as a concept and we're making a game out of that. That's what it is.
That's actually really dope.
And it's fucking awesome. Yeah, they don't use the name SCP, although it's weird because I think SCP is like public domain. So I don't know why they didn't go with it, but they made their own stuff for it.
I mean, that's still cool too. They put their own spin on it.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. What's another good one? Oh, I have one called Mountain of Smiling Bodies. That one's good. And the backstory for it is like shit really hit the fan one day in the corporation, and so many people died. And so many people were like stressed out and tired from like fighting off some monster, right? Mm-hmm. So the administrative team was like, okay, we'll worry about cleaning up the bodies tomorrow. We'll leave the bodies there. Everyone go get rest. They come back tomorrow and the bodies have already like deteriorated, fucking like, they've like molded into each other and have become this big entity, this like black mass of corpses. And it's somewhat docile. It doesn't do much right away. But if you interact with it and you're injured, you rile it up.
Oh, no.
Or if
it's going to eat you.
If a certain amount of people die in the corporation that day, it riles up. And if it riles up enough, it breaks free of its containment. And it wanders around eating corpses. And if it eats enough corpses, it gets bigger and it hurts more. And at that point, I just reset because it's now too strong for me to kill.
Right.
But like, it's such a cool concept. It's
what
like this
platform
big
is this
fucking
on?
thing.
Is this a computer game?
It's a computer game. It's on Steam.
Damn it!
It was originally it was originally a Korean game, I believe. I believe it was made by Koreans. But the localization for it is pretty decent. It doesn't have like bad grammar or anything. Okay. There's a couple instances where it's like I don't know if that was written right, but its localization in English is fine.
Yeah.
It's hard as balls.
I would know. Yep. I'm out.
Yeah. I don't. It would be a game you'd probably have to watch me play, Joe, because
I would be down.
It's difficult.
I like that.
If you can't balance all of the wacky shit that's going on, you just have to give up.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'd watch you, but I'm not playing.
They made a sequel of sorts called Library of Ruina, and I've heard that's easier. Like I've heard that's more manageable. And I think people have said you can play it without playing the first one, but it alludes to a lot of things in the first one. Okay. But when I get to that game, because I will be playing that one too, I will let you know how that is. But yeah, my brain's thinking about that game a lot lately. I just like a lot of the facets of it, a lot of the things you interact with are super cool.
I mean, in a world full of regurgitated bullshit, I think like what the Lobotomy Corporation game is doing is a breath of fresh air. Mm-hmm. Because and even kind of what they did with the Resident Evil, like the whole biohazard thing. I mean, they kind of spit it on their head. Look, I know a lot of Resident Evil guys are like, that's bullshit. That's not canon, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, for a standalone, it's pretty solid. Right. And then they got a new one coming out. I haven't watched the trailer yet. The Village. Yeah. I want to play that. I had a lot of fun with Biohazard.
There's a big titty vampire lady in it that everyone's thirsting over.
Well, now I really have to play it, Anthony. I mean, you're not selling this game for me.
Sure. I'm just that's what people are talking about now.
And I mean, it looks cool. I mean, we grew up with the Resident Evil games. Right. Like, I remember playing like the first couple at least.
You play the first two or the first three, and they all play like a certain way, right? Yeah. And then like 4, 5, and 6, they all play a different way. So it's like, if you're the type of person who's like, well, that's not my Resident Evil. It's like, yeah, well, we're on like essentially the third generation of Resident Evils at this point. So you're right. It's not your Resident Evil. Fuck it. Like, just let them play with their own new concepts. Because let's be honest, like 6 was getting like a little old. I heard a lot of people were like a little done with it at 6.
Which one was 6?
It was the one where the cover looks like a woman giving a giraffe a blowjob.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
It's the one where you play through the story like 3 or 4 times, but as different pairs of people. So like Leon and Ada were a pair, I think. Oh, okay. I think you had to unlock their playthrough though. But yeah, it played the same way as 4 and 5. But it's like, we're at the point where like, this is getting kind of old.
It's the whole regurgitation thing.
Yeah. Right? So like them trying something new with the newest games, I've heard they're like genuinely terrifying at times.
It is. First time I ever played the Resident Evil, I don't know if it's 6 or Biohazard, whatever.
Biohazard is what the series is called outside of the US.
Okay. So the one with the family, the murder family. First time I ever played that, I got a little inebriated. Right. And I was at my friend's. I had a headset on. Like a VR headset. And played that game. I'm telling you, that game fucked with me, dude. Yeah. Like, it fucked with me. Like, there were parts where I, like, there's one part where you get, like, dude smashes your hand. And, like, I legit, like, pulled my hand away because I kind of felt it a little bit. Like, nice. I mean, that was really cool. If you ever get a chance to play that game, it's super fun. Like, it's legitimately scary. Like, because yet again, like I was alluding to earlier, it's not just jump scares. Like, it's like, you can see that person coming. You can't defend yourself. You have to run. Right. Like, and you know that person's coming for you. And, like, you're so terrified because you're like, what the fuck do I do type thing, you know? And I think just that in itself is just, that's terrifying, you know? Like, yeah. I don't want to just have to run. Like, because so many video games are like, oh, here, have this rocket grenade launcher, you know? Like, or, you know, have this giant magnum that you can kill them with. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm about that life. Right. But also, like, no, you can't kill this person. Go find something to defend yourself with. Like, I think there was one part like I was picking up like shards of glass and trying to like slash them with it type thing. Like that kind of horror survival, I guess you would call that.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's
the
more
easier
appealing.
side of horror survival I can get down with, but like the one that's where like you found this gun, you have one bullet, take down this dragon. Like I don't want to play that. Like
Right.
I don't. That's too hard, too much thinking. I don't want to do that. I use video games to escape thinking. You know. Well, not you. Fuck you. You know what I mean.
No, I get what you mean.
Like, but some of the horror survival games like that one was cool. I'm excited for the next one to come out. Like. And I'm not real excited for a lot of games anymore. Like, now don't get me wrong, I'm trash because I play console. I don't do the laptop yet.
Oh, I mean, I
haven't moved on to the electronic master race like you fuckers have.
Right.
But I love how you didn't deny that at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just now kind of branching out. Like, I have Ghost of Tsushima. I haven't started playing that yet because I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
It's pretty good. I think you'll like it.
I'm excited for it. I just got the new Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, I want to play that.
I loved the first one.
I really have no excuse not to play it either. I want to play it. I want to be cowboy.
I grew up on westerns and shit.
Cowboy
yeah,
shit.
That's exactly it.
And everything I've seen of the main character, I'm like, dude, this guy's genuinely cool. Like, I think he's. I mean, the Red Dead Redemption games know how to write their protagonists for
no,
a
they
cool
really do.
cowboy.
They do. Like they definitely do.
Shit, dude. But we should wrap this up.
Yeah, I don't know what time we're
an
at.
hour and 40.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's we went on for a while.
Longer than we usually do. That's okay.
That's okay. That was a good episode. I
wrapped up and chat, and it's been a couple weeks, so I guess us going a little bit longer is not too bad. So yeah, I don't really know what the future is going to hold for us. I mean, it seems like any other week something that could happen that could cause us to cancel for a week. But if you're still with us, thanks for hanging on. We appreciate that. All we're trying to do is have some fun, and if anyone wants to listen in and enjoy our conversations,
yeah, absolutely.
And, chip in with us, then that's cool too.
Give us some ideas if you want to come in and be a guest or anything and talk or do something, whatever, man. We're all for it.
Right. Close mutual friends, contact us. Maybe we get a guest episode going. I don't know.
Yeah, not you fucking randos, dude. No one likes you.
Right. If you're some like Paul Schmall over in like Iowa and you're just like, I want to be on this boy show.
Right.
I don't know who you are, Paul Schmall.
I don't know who you are. God damn it. We end up inviting the Night Stalker or some shit on our show. Like, God damn it. Richard Ramirez, please go home.
Well, Joe, I'll suppose we'll see everybody later. Say bye, Joe.
Bye, Joe.